It's 1997, and Mixx Entertainment has been teasing something to its readers. Its magazine, MixxZine, published Naoko Takeuchi's manga Sailor Moon in North America, and at the end of the year, they had some interesting news to share. According to Stuart Levy, the company's CEO, they were trying to get Naoko Takeuchi to make an appearance at next year's San Diego Comic-Con International, which is going to take place between August 13th and 17th in 1998. While nothing was certain yet, that was the plan. It appears as if Mixx Entertainment did release some sort of official confirmation shortly afterwards, but many Sailor Moon fans had missed both the initial announcement and the confirmation. Another wave of fans discovered Naoko Takeuchi's planned visit in the spring of 1998, when they saw an announcement in the Spring Comic-Con update book and on the official website. Anyone who got all of their Sailor Moon updates from MixxZine wouldn't learn about this until June, when MixxZine issue 1-6 was released. According to Save Our Sailors, or SOS, a fan-made Sailor Moon promotional group, the first opportunity for fans to meet Naoko would be on Thursday, August 13th. The first 50 fans in line for this autograph session would receive a free copy of a limited edition San Diego Comic-Con variant of Sailor Moon Volume 1, and it would be autographed by Naoko. And according to the convention schedule, the next and last opportunity to see Naoko Takeuchi at Comic-Con would be on Friday. As that year's Comic-Con came and went, reports about the event started making their way onto the internet, but discussions about Naoko Takeuchi's appearance at the convention and how fans felt about it appears to have picked up steam after Save Our Sailors released their report in September. They didn't have much to say about the signing that took place on the 13th, and based on other reports, it doesn't look like anything out of the ordinary happened. Then we get to the 14th, when a Naoko Takeuchi Q&A and autograph session would take place. The event was scheduled to start at 3:30 p.m., but Sailor Moon fans of all ages started lining up an hour early, and not just for the Q&A. Some people decided to skip it entirely in order to get a good spot in line for the autograph session. After a bit of a late start, Stuart Levy brought Naoko Takeuchi to the stage, where she was greeted with cheers and a standing ovation. After the applause ended, the Q&A began, and there was a problem. On stage, Naoko was sitting next to Stuart Levy, who would be translating the fans' questions and her responses to them. But there were issues with the venue's microphone that lasted for almost the entire session. According to Save Our Sailors, quote, "I was largely disappointed with Naoko Takeuchi's question and answer session. Naoko did not always speak into the microphone, and neither did Stu Levy when translating questions from English to Japanese for her. So for many questions, all the audience heard was Stu answering. Those of us who speak Japanese would have liked to have heard everything, especially Naoko." End quote. Fans in attendance, if they were lucky enough to be chosen, could ask questions to Naoko directly, but there were issues with the way it was handled. Quote, "At first, there was no microphone available for the audience to use when asking questions, so people in the back couldn't hear what was being asked. A bit later, it was decided to bring individuals on stage to ask questions. A good idea. By the end, a wireless microphone had been found. There seemed to be little technical preparation for the event, and many people were upset by this and shouted wisecracks." End quote. SOS criticized the entire structure of the event, stating that picking fans from the audience at random leads to boring, already answered questions and people who aren't prepared to ask a question when it's their turn. They also had a problem with the way Naoko's answers were being translated. Quote, "Further, Mr. Levy did not always translate her response. He sometimes gave his interpretation of her response. Because of this, we cannot always quote Naoko as we would like. We sometimes can only quote Mr. Levy's interpretation." End quote. Some SOS members also took issue with how he was managing fan interactions with Naoko, with one member stating, quote, "Stu pretty much had Naoko on a leash the whole time, which would later irritate fans just wanting to say hi and thank you." End quote. After answering questions from the audience, Naoko decided to ask them some questions, but similar audio-related issues persisted, and they couldn't hear her questions directly or how the audience's answers were translated. After the Q&A itself was finished, there was going to be a video screening. Unfortunately for fans hoping to see something new, they would be rewatching a popular episode. Episode number 1 of Mixx Entertainment's English dub of Sailor Moon. According to an SOS member, quote, "Adding insult to injury, presenting a tape of the most accessible episode in the English-speaking world. Wow, look at that. It's the very first episode, and it's in English. We've never seen that before. How rare. What a find. I'm glad I came to see this, and how appropriate." End quote. While they were disappointed with the Q&A, it was what came next that really appeared to annoy them. According to the report, there were 2 lines for the autograph session, but they were both capped at 100 people, and the lines apparently reached this cap well before the Q&A even began, meaning that if you decided to attend the Q&A, you'd miss the autograph session. According to the member who waited in line, quote, "I was irked with how this was handled on Friday. There were 2 distinct lines set up at aisles 4 and 5. The rumor was that Naoko would definitely be signing at aisle 4, and if she got to aisle 5, then we'd be set. I was standing in aisle 5, so needless to say, I was praying that she would agree to sign for aisle 5 as well. She did, thank goodness, so everyone who had been standing there for hours would at least have something to show for it. The security was also a little too irritating, shuffling people rudely around from one place to another, and not nicely either." End quote. Many fans who came to see Naoko brought gifts that they wanted to present to her. Since the autograph lines were capped, the only way that many of them could do this was to pass their gifts to someone who was already in line. And even for those who did manage to get a spot, some of them weren't able to present their gifts directly to Naoko like they wanted to. Apparently, Stuart Levy was collecting the gifts on her behalf, and this rubbed some people the wrong way. According to the report, quote, a fellow SOS member who had come all the way from Tennessee to see Miss Takeuchi, had to give me his gifts to give to her, since he was covering the Q&A and couldn't get into line afterwards. She graciously accepted them, but even as I went to give her the gifts, Stu Levy reached out as if to take them. I jerked them away from him and gave them to her directly instead. All I could think of later was, the nerve of that man. Those gifts were for her, not him. End quote. The group of SOS members who attended the event didn't appear to leave with a positive impression. One of the members described Naoko's visit as, quote, overprotective to an extreme, end quote, and stated, quote, it was as if the members of San Diego Comic-Con and or Mixx who were escorting Naoko-sensei had an overinflated need to strut their self-importance by keeping fans at bay. It was the old power trip back in action again. Very, very disgruntling, end quote. There was another incident involving Naoko Takeuchi that took place at that year's Comic-Con that wasn't included in the Save Our Sailors report. It didn't take place on a stage, but in the dealer's room. Apparently, there was some sort of confrontation that happened between Stu, Naoko, and a dealer selling bootleg Sailor Moon merchandise. According to a post online, Stu demanded that the dealer provide some of the merchandise to Naoko for free, and when he refused, threatened to call security. This report was released at an interesting time for Mixx Entertainment. Otakon took place right before Comic-Con, and Stuart Levy made a big announcement. Sailor Moon would be moving from MixxZine to a brand new magazine that they were launching. Smile. Many of MixxZine's readers weren't very happy about this, and weeks later, while they were still dealing with the fallout, this report was released. It added a new controversy to Mixx's seemingly ever-growing list and gave people another reason to dislike both the company and its CEO. On September 26, 1998, Stuart Levy published a long letter to address everything that had taken place. While I didn't go into detail until later on in the letter, the SOS Comic-Con report was brought up in the first section, titled The Group of Hecklers. He included the writers of the report in this group, alongside a former employee, his friends, and girlfriend. If you scroll down to section 5, you'd see a more detailed response to the controversy at Comic-Con. He stated that he had no control over Naoko's schedule, and that Comic-Con had full control over the Q&A, what was shown on video, and the following autograph session. As for how the autograph sessions were handled, he stated, quote, Naoko had requested that I allow only one signature per person because many people wouldn't get a signature if we allowed more than one per person. Also, I always allowed fans to pose with Naoko and did my best to time it so that the line would keep moving while everyone still got their photos. Finally, I was told to collect all of her gifts, to put them into a box so she would not lose them. I never prevented anyone from giving a gift to Naoko. Anyone who knows me knows I would never do such a thing. End quote. Then he addressed the incident in the dealer's room. First, he stated that if anyone was on a leash, it was him and the Comic-Con staff. According to Stu, quote, while the heckler who wrote that I had Naoko on a leash the whole time gave himself away as being a heckler because anyone who was there saw easily that she had all of us on leashes. Believe me, Naoko does what she wants. End quote. Getting to the incident itself, as Naoko was wandering about the venue, quote, she wanted to collect pirated Sailor Moon goods because she collects all Sailor Moon goods from around the world. At every booth Naoko went to, I would introduce her, and the booth owners would generously give her whatever item she was interested in. She also took photos with them and even gave autographs in return. However, there was one booth where the man who ran the booth was so stingy he wouldn't offer it to her. This is probably the most insulting thing anyone can do in the Japanese culture. Here is the creator of the most popular anime standing in front of you, and you are selling a pirated set of cards and you are refusing to give it to her and asking for money? How completely insulting. Poor Naoko was so embarrassed, and she offered the money, as any respectable Japanese person would do. If I would have let her pay, I would have failed in my job of protecting her at the show. In Japanese culture, if I allowed her to pay, I would have been insulting her as much as the guy at the booth. So, of course, I insisted that she did not pay and kept explaining the situation to the guy at the booth. Even then, he did not offer, and all of us with Naoko were completely shocked. It wasn't until after I made a point to tell Comic-Con management that the guy gave in. End quote. And he concluded this section of the letter by saying, quote, so please, any of you who read a so-called Comic-Con report, please take it with a grain of salt. I remember the many happy faces of over 1,000 Sailor Moon fans, so I know the show was a great success. End quote. Save Our Sailors released a response to the letter shortly afterwards. They didn't agree with being labeled as hecklers, stating, quote, we do not consider ourselves part of any group of hecklers. The SOS has not acted in concert with any other parties concerning Mixx. We have come to our findings on our own. We have not posted at any time rumors, untruths, or have encouraged sabotage against Mixx or Mr. Levy. End quote. When it came to the response to Section 5, they had no idea who was actually in charge, but said that if he was going to run the Q&A, that he should take some responsibility for it, and asked why he didn't object to the showing of Sailor Moon's first episode. There was also something else that happened in between the Q&A and autograph session. Apparently, Naoko said that she wanted to take pictures with fans who showed up in cosplay after the Q&A. These fans waited, but Naoko never showed up because she was escorted straight to the autograph session, and by the time they gave up, they had no chance of getting an autograph. Stuart Levy discussed how he handled photos at the autograph session, but this incident is what SOS actually took issue with. The next point of contention was how he handled fans' gifts to Naoko. SOS stated, quote, what we did report and objected to was the manner in which Mr. Levy was collecting them. Only those fans who skipped the Q&A and made it into the signing lines were able to give their gifts, and even then, Mr. Levy intervened and snatched the gifts as we reported and witnessed by countless others. We chose to detail just one of the incidents since it involved one of our own members, was witnessed by several other members, and witnessed by several non-members, end quote. They then addressed the comment about Naoko being on a leash. Quote, "The Naoko on a Leash was a comment made by us in connection to Mr. Levy's handling of her at the Q&A and signing, not her tour of the convention floor. Mr. Levy's treatment, his keeping her on a leash, watching her every move, trying to appear that he was, somehow, in charge of her, witnessed not just by us, but by countless others, and at the Q&A by hundreds, may have caused Naoko that much more to assert herself in the manner that Mr. Levy suggests." End quote. Side note, this view of Stuart Levy's treatment of Naoko Takeuchi may not have been held by every member of SOS. Shortly after the report was released, there were fans who came away from it with this impression, that Naoko had been mistreated by Stu. But when Aaron Maupin, SOS's news group spokesman, chimed in during one of these discussions, he clarified that wasn't what was in the report, then stated that, in his opinion, Stu actually treated Naoko fairly during both the Q&A and autograph session. Even though the report didn't cover the dealer's room incident, since none of the members actually witnessed it, they did take issue with Stu categorizing some of his actions as a part of Japanese culture. According to a Japanese member of SOS, quote, "I really wish you did not call this Japanese culture. I do not accept this, nor do my friends in Japan. As the creator, she may ask for a sample, but if refused, she should pay. That is the custom. Just because she's the creator, it doesn't give her a right, or you, to demand merchandise for free. When you want something, you pay for it. Respect others. That's the true Japanese culture, or any other culture, I believe. It was not right to threaten and force someone to give you merchandise for free because it's pirated. We're not talking about Yakuza or Japanese mafia culture here, are we?" End quote. It doesn't look like Mixx publicly discussed the controversy at Comic-Con very much after this. An Anime News Network interview with Stuart Levy in October, as a part of their special report on all of Mixx Entertainment's recent issues, may have been the last time. And while this didn't mark the end of Mixx-related controversies, the Comic-Con incident itself started to fade into the background as other issues took center stage. But that doesn't mean that people forgot. People continued to write about their experiences and share opinions about the events at that year's Comic-Con throughout 1998 and into 1999. Even if it's only remembered as one of Mixx's many controversies in the late 90s, it would continue to be cited by Sailor Moon fans as one of the reasons behind the company's controversial reputation for years to come.